Harambe YouTube, it is Charles here, and today it is part 5 of my Jennifer Bloodlines retrospective review. This, like I said in the previous episodes, was the first Jennifer Blood series that I got into from the ground level. I had gotten familiar with the characters via the previous issues I bought as back issues. Basically, it was a revenge story of a housewife who lived a double life as a mafia assassin. And we find out that this was inspired by her family being killed by these mobsters, and she was presumed dead. But Jessica Bluth, she disappeared and reappeared as Jessica Fellows, a suburban housewife who by night was Jennifer Blood, a force of vengeance. And by the end of that story, she had been captured and killed in prison. But she is seemingly back in this small town of Bountiful, Utah, which you find out is a kind of witness relocation for mafia bosses. And it's not a relocation in the sense that you would think. It's all of these horrible people in this town as new lives, and they can pretty much do what they want as long as they keep up the perception that they're not doing crime anymore, that they're living by the book. And of course they're not. Everybody from the judge to the sheriffs to the mayor are all criminals who have been relocated to this city. And this new Jennifer Blood finds out about it, and she ends up going to Bountiful, Utah to exact some more revenge. And she finally ends up killing the last person who was involved in her family's murder. But just as that happens, and that's where the first book starts off, just as that happens, there is another mysterious lady who moves into town. And a lot of the townspeople think that maybe this is the new Jennifer Blood, but it ends up being Julia Romero, a European hitwoman sent to pose as the sheriff of Bountiful and find out what is going on with these mysterious killings. And so it really starts with what you think is the end of this story arc, but it's really just the beginning of this just Jennifer Blood. And 5 books in, we finally find out about this new resurrection of Jennifer Blood and who exactly it is. And that is through Julia. She has done some research into just Jennifer Blood, the original, and found out that she had 2 children, Alice and Mark Fellows. And after she had been killed in prison, they were, and also the original Jennifer Blood, killed her husband, and so her kids were left orphaned. And through deductive reasoning, she figures out that her daughter Alice has taken up the mantle of Jennifer Blood. So Jennifer, the original Jennifer Blood's daughter, is the new Jennifer Blood, and she's working in consort with her brother. And I like the way this is brought full circle, because you meet these 2 characters in the original books as children, and you wonder, what's happened after all of this chaos. Their mother being a hit woman, their father being killed by their mother, and you find out that they had a rough go in the foster system, and they had been separated and been in some bad positions, but as young adults, they reunited and decided to take on the mantle and the revenge mission of their mother after discovering her diaries. And so I like the way that it's come full circle. It connects up to the original without doing any logic leaps having to do with comic resurrections or anything like that. It all makes sense. And they really let that develop for 5 issues here before you find out who this iteration of Jennifer Blood is. And what she has done while Julia has been doing this research is Jennifer Blood, she has been setting up Julia by posing in a blonde wig, wearing the affectations of Julia, and killing this FBI surveillance team. And so what they've done here is essentially, with Julia outing Alice as Jennifer Blood, and with Alice framing Julia for the murder of federal agents, it really puts both of them under the gun, and it comes to a head in a very interesting way of where they're finally face to face to have their final showdown. But in the middle of this is an FBI manhunt and a mafia manhunt. And I didn't mention how Jennifer Blood was able to sneak into town. It was clever because part of the deal with this town is they have to ID everybody and they have to keep records, meticulous records and everything. And the only place where people come in unrecorded is the country club, which is a front for the nefarious businesses. And Julia finds out that there people are not checked, they're not vetted, they are considered disposable, used for nefarious purposes. And Jessica, the new Jennifer Blood, Alice Fellows, and her brother Mark were able to sneak into Bountiful by posing as workers in the country club. And so I really like how everything is tied together intelligently. We have a very fun, you have to excuse the mess, obviously I'm outside, so it's going to be a little noisy. Let this truck pass by. There we go. But yeah, it ties everything back together, leaves no plot holes really. And by the time we get to the climax with the FBI agents and the two ladies facing off, you have brilliant panels of fight scenes and gunshots and near misses. And finally, with a big escape, a distraction via rodents and a diversion bomb, and an injured yet still very much alive Jennifer Blood appears and kind of slinks away, and that is the end of this first arc. It's called number 5, There Goes the Neighborhood. And so that is the end. Like I said, this first story arc, and the next story arc I remember being very, very, very exciting. It was fun, and there was also kind of a dynamic between her and a fellow criminal who she recruits in her crusade. And so it almost becomes a criminal version of a buddy cop story. And so I've really, really enjoyed this series. I'm enjoying going through it again and knowing how it develops and what to expect and what happens next. I pick up so many other small clues and small details that I missed upon first reading. So there goes the neighborhood, and we're going to pick back up with number 6, which came out in February of 2022. So I'll see you guys next time. Until then, keep reading them books. I'm out.